I would not like that.
Those are
I don't like my feet dangling.
Super cool.
I would drop it just because I want to see if I can hit anybody with it.
I don't know where you pee, though. What do you do when you have to pee?
You just let it go.
In the middle of the
Just quick unzip and just let it go. Nobody's going to know.
What's up, guys? Wes here with CrossFit Monterey. So half of Team CrossFit Monterey and half of Team, whoa, that's crazy. 2 guys, 1 girl, 2 guys, 1 girl. Half of Team Coast Range CrossFit from this last year's regionals. We just had a little bro session here at the gym with these guys today. CrossFit Monterey came up, and I didn't want to let them get away without throwing them on the podcast and hopefully giving you guys some advice that are maybe trying to make it to regionals or trying to get on a team to regionals or whatever it may be. So start things off and just kind of go around the circle. Just say your name, who you are, and how long you've been doing CrossFit. Start with the girl who hates her voice.
I'm Kat Helwig. I've been doing CrossFit for just over 3 years, and as of right now, I'm training at CrossFit Monterey.
My name's Alec Aubend. I've been doing CrossFit. It'll be 2 years in August, and just moved home about a year ago and been training at CrossFit Monterey since.
My name's Chris Holler. I'm the owner of CrossFit Monterey. I think I've been doing this is my 5th season now, so a little while. I've been at CrossFit Monterey the whole time. I spent about 1 year in Nevada at CrossFit Power Stroke.
Cool.
I'm Alex Fullware, and I've been doing CrossFit for about 2.5 years now, and about 2 years here at Coast Range.
Cool.
I'm Andy Tan. I've been doing CrossFit for 2.5 years, and I think I've been in CrossFit for 2 years, I think.
Cool.
I'm Nick Bonfilio. Been doing CrossFit for about 5 years now, and I've been at CrossFit Coast Range for about a year.
No, a little longer than that.
A little longer than a year.
Yeah, a little over a year. Cool. Awesome. One thing I thought was interesting, Chris, is you said this is your 5th season.
Yeah.
So that tells me that you came into this thing competing, basically. Like, you came into CrossFit like, I'm a competitor.
That was the intent.
Okay.
I've always kind of been like that by nature. So I showed up to CrossFit Monterey one day, and I told whoever was in charge, like, hey, man, I kind of want to be good at this, and just kind of threw me into it, and I never kind of, like, backed off. Probably wasn't the greatest strategy. I'll admit that. Probably should have, like, came into it a little slower and done the right things with a little less volume. It is what it is, and, I guess I wouldn't take it back. I mean, I've learned a lot from it.
No, not at all. That's just cool to hear that. That's what's happening now. Is that people are seeing this thing as it's a sport. It is.
Absolutely.
It's what it is now. I've never heard anybody say that before. That I've been doing this for seasons now, that's amazing to me. That just shows how far this sport has progressed for sure. So it's very cool. Awesome. Really quick, does anybody have any interesting stories about how they kind of got started with CrossFit or anything?
I'd actually love to chime in, kind of going off of what Chris just talked about.
Yeah.
But the first CrossFit gym I actually ever was a part of and how I got into CrossFit was over in Australia when I was living there, and it was within the gym I was working for, just a straight Globo gym, and I was doing sales and marketing for them, and the affiliate actually rented out a space, and he just came to me one day, we were already friends, and asked me if I would throw down on a team with him in a competition, and that's actually how I started CrossFit. I did about a week of just like some training leading up to it, and then I got thrown right into a team competition with them, and it was scaled, but it was so much fun, and that's how I fell in love with CrossFit too, man. It's just, I got thrown right into the competition, and I played baseball through college, and I was kind of missing that competitive void, and CrossFit filled that for me right away, and that's why I fell in love with the sport.
Very cool. I think, wasn't Scott Rotman kind of the same thing? Mm-hmm. Like, he kind of started doing it for like a week or something like that, and then did a competition, and
That's pretty tough.
It's crazy. It's a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
Super stressful, but it was a lot of fun.
1 week.
Oh, you know how to do a thruster, you're good.
Yeah, it's fun. I didn't learn. You kind of just get thrown into it before you learn, some of the key things. Like, I didn't learn hook grip until 3-4 months into CrossFit.
Dang.
And little things like that, man. It's just kind of funny how it works sometimes.
That's awesome.
Man.
Very cool. With CrossFit Monterey, how did you guys end up coming together? I know in the Monterey region, it's very heavy military based, right? Correct? You guys have the Naval Post Academy there?
Mm-hmm.
The
NPS.
Postgraduate school?
DLI, the language school.
The language school as well. So you guys, I'm sure, get a lot of turnover in your gym. People coming in and leaving constantly. How did you guys come together as a team?
Well, it kind of started back in 2013 with myself and then some of the original people. Most of them were military, so they kind of all took off. The only people that stuck around were myself and Brittany. Obviously, we're together. Mm-hmm. Ryan kind of came into a picture about a year later. He moved to the area. He was going to school, and we just saw him in a class, and we're like, this guy. this guy's got some talent. This guy's a monster. He's nice. Let's just grab him.
He looked homeless with the
Yeah,
beard.
he looked
but-
homeless. He was the most handsome homeless guy I've ever seen, though.
He's a very handsome homeless guy.
I pulled him in. I'm like, hey, man, why don't you come be homeless and hang out with us for a while? So, naturally he did. He was living like right down the street from me, so it was cool. I could just pick him up on the way, and I knew he was going to be there. We trained together for a year or so, and then I was gone for a year, and then I came back home, and Alec rolls into my gym one day. Same kind of deal. I saw him. Alec was killing stuff, and I'm like, hey, man, I see you're working out a lot. You're doing really well. Where are you trying to go with this?
Mhm.
And naturally he's like, yeah, I like to compete. So I offered him a spot to come train with us. Same kind of situation with Kat. She came in one day, and she was referred to us by kind of like a mutual friend, Karina. What's her last name? Benz?
Benz.
Yeah, Benz.
But I looked you guys up because my husband's military, and we came here for MPS, and I looked you guys up beforehand, and then saw that Karina knew Brittany. But yeah, I knew walking into that gym that I wanted to be a part of the competitors team. So walked in, saw Trey, Chris, and Ryan working out one day, and just jumped in.
Nice.
Awesome. They had the three OGs there with Chris, Ryan, and Britt there for a while, and then Kat, myself, and Mariah all kind of came all within like a period of I think a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we all just kind of rolled in at once, and then we were just jumped right into it. So
Cool. And then, Alec, are you pretty set in Monterey now?
I am, yeah.
You're not moving anywhere or anything like that?
No, my plan was to definitely come back to Monterey when I was ready to settle down and kind of start building my life up again. It's a great place to live. It's beautiful.
Okay.
You kind of take it for granted growing up, but I got plenty of experience, and I moved away for about 6 years, and now I'm planning on being here for a while. Yeah,
Cool.
So I'm really happy with it.
Kat?
We're supposed to leave in December.
Oh, no!
But
Nope, she stayed.
there's been some discussions.
What is that? Discussions? What do you mean?
Well, we kind of... I'm toying with the idea.
Kat
Let's
just started
see.
a brand new job, so
I
she's
did.
got
I
offered
just
a great
started a
full-time
full-time
position.
job, so I'm
Okay.
toying with the idea. I just don't know how
Trying
it
to
would
keep
work
her
out.
around.
And your husband's in the military.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're a
Yeah.
military spouse.
Yeah.
And how many times have you guys moved since you've been in the
We met in Ohio, and he actually left Ohio, went to school in Virginia while I was still there, and then we met up in North Carolina. We were there for 2.5 years, and then we came out here last June.
Okay, cool. So how many moves is that?
2. Yeah.
2 moves.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now this will be the third eventually.
Yeah.
But you're saying you may be here for another year.
So
So what I'm getting at is that we'll see, but
Luke hears this, he's gonna be like, "What?"
what I'm getting at is that we're going to see a strong Monterey presence at the regionals again next year.
That's the
I
plan.
would really like that.
That's the plan.
That's very cool. Awesome. And then co-train side of this thing, you guys, how did you guys all come together? What brought you guys to this gym and actually deciding that you even wanted to compete in CrossFit?
I was actually originally over at CrossFit Gilroy for a little while. I was coaching over there, and I made a decision that I wanted to take my athlete to the next level, and so I actually contacted US and said, "Hey, could you start programming for me?" So we started doing that for a little while, and I ended up coming over here to do some of my training sessions. The environment here was just something that I've never actually felt before coming to a gym, so it was actually really cool. I really liked it here.
Keep going. Keep going.
That's awesome, man. Just keep talking it up.
Just good. Nick's just tooting my horn right now. It's like, Wes is just the
I'm
best.
trying to make you blush right now. No, and then from there it just sounded cool, just meeting everybody from the team, Alex, Andy, Brittany, making good friendships that way. And then we decided, hey, we might actually have a shot at making regionals.
For sure.
That would be kind of cool. So just coming together and just working out every day was fun.
Awesome. Andy, what brought you to Gilroy, Andy?
Well, I just got off from military, and then I'm going to school at GAF.
Okay.
So, I just want to get better, and just kind of walk. I mean, I drove to the road over there, just as a coach trainer. It's like, okay. I mean, I've been in CrossFit before, but
You were at another gym. Where were you before you came to Gilroy?
Colorado CrossFit.
Colorado CrossFit, and that was when you were in the Army, correct?
Spring CrossFit, yeah.
Cool. And then you moved into Gilroy. Is your family from here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you started coming to us. When you first joined the gym, did you think about competing or anything like that, or was it just no? I love doing CrossFit.
No, yeah, just pretty much I didn't plan to compete before.
Yeah.
But But after a while, I want to get better, and I see like a lot of people get better, and then
It just kind of naturally pushed you in that direction, right? By naturally pushed, I mean that we basically forced you to be on the team. We gave Andy a very good directional push. We were like, hey, we're going to help you out in this direction over here. Definitely saw a ton of, the second that Andy walked into the gym and started moving, number one, if you guys have ever seen Andy move, it's like he's our demo boy in classes. Squats perfect, press is perfect.
Mobile, you have to be on
And we saw potential in Andy from the get-go for sure, but I think it was a real natural progression with you as well. It's just kind of like you loved CrossFit, wanted to do CrossFit, and just naturally kind of pushed yourself, or we kind of pushed you in that direction for sure. Yeah, definitely. What about you, Al?
When I started CrossFit, I was in Fresno finishing up my undergrad in Kine, so I've always kind of been interested in exercise science and human movement and all that. So I started about my last semester in college and started at the super small gym in Fresno. Initially, I didn't really want to compete. I just kind of was joining for fun. And then after about a month, I just fell in love with it and wanted to continue and just got all in. So then I moved back home here, kind of went from gym to gym for a while. Did my first competition in Bakersfield right when I moved back here. So I was kind of panicking to find a gym to kind of settle at. And after my first comp, I just kind of had a fire under my butt. So ever since then, I've been here.
Very cool. And is this anybody's first? How many people is this their first time going to regionals this last year? One,
Me,
2, 3.
Kat.
Anybody gone multiple times to regionals?
Chris.
So Nick and Chris, are you multiple? Was it 2014 or 2015 and 16?
No, 13 and 16.
13 and 16. And what was 15 or 14 and 15 like for you?
Man, kind of bittersweet on both accounts. I was hurt both years. 14, I had knee injuries, just not moving well, not paying attention to, stretching, warming up, those kind of things just were never told or taught to me. So I kind of just jump in, start training, and day after day, my coach would just keep saying, deal with it. So I dealt with it. 2014, I got really close. I think I was 2 spots out of being invited to regionals, something like that as an individual, like 70th or something like that. And then 2015, I was in the Southwest, so I had a pretty good chance of making it. I felt like had a pretty good year. Most of those workouts I was in the top 20, and except for the clean and jerk, I had a torn labrum at the time. I was kind of still doing grid at the same point when grid was kind of new. So I jumped into grid and I was doing the open at the same time.
Oh, so you're just thrashing your body.
Yeah, I was at Pro Day, and all I ended up doing was pretty much the stuff I excelled at, which was pull-ups, chest bar pull-ups, muscle-ups. That's pretty much all I did all weekend.
Yep.
And I ended up I don't know if I tore my labrum in another spot or something, but I was at the point where I couldn't lift my arm up. So naturally, rowing and thrusters were kind of out of the picture. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even give it a shot, but I think I would have come very close, which kind of really lit a fire under my butt those last 2 years, because the goal for those 2 years was to go on my own. And then this last year was kind of just to try to get healthy. Really was the goal, but I was glad that I was able to do okay, I guess. Yeah. I was happy with my performance regardless. Very
cool. And then, Nick, you've been at regionals before on a team, too?
Yeah, 2012.
2012 with CrossFit Brethren?
CrossFit Brethren, yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
And how was that experience compared to last year?
It was totally different. 2012, that was actually my first year doing CrossFit. Literally, about 6 months into CrossFit, they're like, hey, you're kind of good enough to be on the team. So I was like, okay. And I think I did my first competition with them about 4 months into CrossFit, and there was Garrett Fisher was there, Pat Barber was there with NorCal. I mean, I was like, what is going on right now? I don't even think I should be here. But no, it was really cool. I mean, just seeing all the people that you follow on Instagram and Facebook actually there competing was a trip. But coming back this year, just with a little more experience and not letting all the nerves and all the people, the big time, going out onto the floor, it was cool. I was actually able to enjoy it a whole lot more this year.
Definitely. I think that second year around, you actually get to kind of take things in a lot more and look around a little bit and realize where you're at. And I think one of the biggest things too is as a second year, third year, or whatever competitor doing that, one of the biggest things I notice is that intimidation factor is just gone. You're like, oh, these guys are like me. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. I feel like I always compared it to like if you played high school football or baseball or softball or anything like that, and then going to the college level, that first year, everything's so fast, everything's so crazy, everybody's so good, and you're just like, oh my God, what is happening around me? And then that second year, you kind of start catching up to everybody, and you start working your way in there. So really excited for you guys this next year to watch you guys in regionals. It's going to be fun for sure. So kind of switching gears a little bit, you guys, I want to give the people who are listening to stuff some things, that might help them, because I know a lot of the people, oh my God, I'm looking over right now, my nephews just for some reason have their shirts off and they're running around the gym. They had clothes on like 2 seconds ago, most of the people that are on the program around the world, we've got people from Belize, people from Russia that are doing this program are in the shoes you guys were in last year. Basically, where they're doing pretty good, and they're looking at getting on a team, or maybe even trying to go individual, and they're looking for probably what is the one thing you guys did that you noticed the biggest change in your performance, or what? I guess I'm looking for like kind of that like golden ticket. Was there one thing that you guys did this last year where you're like, wow, you know what? Doing that really helped me out a ton, whether it was nutrition, whether it was sleep, whether it was just buying in a little bit more, whether it was the environment you were in. Was there anything that you guys did where you're like, yeah, hey, do this. If you don't do it, like you're missing out?
Mine was working out with these guys, like finding people who were able to push me and having that like level above me. Like I walked in not realizing, I was a decent athlete, but they were so much better than me. So I walked in, like had that competitiveness like right above me the whole time. I was like, I want to be like that. So they like pushed me so much harder to be a much better athlete. So I think just working out with other people who have like similar minded goals, like that was huge for me. Yeah,
finding a group of people that are after the same thing will always push you to be better for sure.
Yeah, having a partner for one. If you can't find one though, I think the biggest thing for me when I was on my own was being able to, even if you're not training a lot, that's not really important, in my opinion. I think if whatever it is you're doing it with the utmost intensity you possibly can, and realizing that when you go into it. Look, whether it's a 5-minute workout, 12-minute workout, whatever it is, not giving yourself this strategy that you're going to try to follow. I mean, in some sense, you should, right?
Yeah.
But you need to push those barriers every day. I feel like that was the most helpful to me, rather than just going through the movements at like 80% and just kind of getting it done.
Checking off the boxes.
Yeah, I'd rather just get in there. Even if I can only hit one thing that day, but I knew that was all I had.
Yep.
It meant way more to me than doing my whole training day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Intensity over volume every day, any day, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And looking more at the macro picture, you hear all the guys and the gals at the top level, the ones that they're at the games, year after year, they talk about there's no magic pill as far as it comes, with the training and things like that. But for me personally, it was definitely like, I wouldn't call it epiphany, but there's just there was a moment for me that definitely, I switched over from, yes, I was already training 5-6 days a week, and I still do now. However, it's really a lifestyle change. Once you kind of just realize what you want and what you're passionate about, and then when it becomes a top priority for you, it carries over to the other aspects of your life. Like Wes just mentioned, your nutrition, your sleeping patterns, the way you just live your day-to-day life is
your
definitely
job gets better.
Exactly.
Relationships get better.
Exactly, definitely. And then and I encourage everybody to try to find their soulmate. So for me personally, it's Kat. Kat's been my soulmate now for almost a year, and she's married. She's married, and I'm currently dating someone too, and I'm sure the girl I'm dating can attest to it as well. But she's a constant part of the conversation because she's such a big part of my life right now as far as my training. And it's number one for me for motivation wise, definitely. And Chris and everybody else that I get the pleasure of training with.
Very cool. What about you guys?
I would just, with what they said, just training intensity, finding somebody you can train with. I also posted up around my house just little index cards, like I put on my fridge, my windows, my mirrors, my bathroom, just little phrases. One says, you belong. One says, keep going. One says, yes, you can. Stuff like that. So it's constantly just reminding me, making me think in my head, just like, yes, you can, you belong. So when I get into the gym and actually start doing workouts, those words are always just in my head. Just
positive self-talk.
So tapping into the Bob Fistrow,
yes.
the mind gym stuff. Yeah, that was, I think, the biggest thing that helped me out over these last 3 years, to be honest with you, with my training, was I had the exact same, I don't know if you had this issue or not, Nick, but my big thing is that every year I would go to regionals or the games or whatever it was, I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I was actually, should be there with those guys. I always felt like, whoa, I'm the lucky guy that kind of snuck in, and like I wanted to almost like be the guy back there with my like phone, like taking selfies and posting on Instagram, asking for autographs. Like I was, that star-studded guy. And even at regionals, I still do that. I still kind of every once in a while, I had to do the exact same thing as Bob was like, hey, you got to get out of your head and realize that you should be with these guys. And so I did the same thing, posted things on my mirror, in my car, everything. And it was just two things. You are strong and you belong. And that was it. And it was the biggest turnaround. From there, like lifts went through the roof, Metcon times went down, like everything got better from there. And I was having more fun too as well. So I think that's a great thing you guys should be doing for sure. What about you, Andy?
Well, training partner for sure, but I'll add up the coverage part of it.
So not just training day in and day out, checking off the boxes, but cashing those checks too.
Yeah. Exactly. Like doing round mods definitely helps, and yeah, pretty much just like do as much recovery as you can.
Cool. What about you, Al?
I think for me was just like confidence. I think last year I was like really, really, really hard on myself. I never thought I would be on the team. I was constantly had negative thoughts. I think it wasn't really until Britt and Katrina asked me to be on their team for the Wadapalooza qualifier, and then we like actually qualified. And then we went. I think that whole experience, as soon as like I went there and I did that, and we actually did pretty well. I think after I came back, it was just kind of like an epiphany for me, and I was like, holy crap, like I can actually do this. And then after that point, like things just really started turning around for me. So
for sure, you can
confidence for me.
Yeah, and it's hard too, especially when you work out in a gym around the same people every single day, and like you think like, well, I do pretty good around these people, but then all of a sudden on a bigger stage you start to question yourself. Well, that's just my gym, I don't do anything. So getting out and doing competitions like that at least a couple times a year to validate your training is a very important thing.
I worry so much about what everyone else is doing and not what I was doing. So I would compare myself to other athletes. I would even like here in the gym, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like she's so much better than me. She's doing this, she's doing that, and like I just needed to focus on myself. And as soon as I just started focusing on me, then everything.
Yeah, you had one of the coolest pieces of advice I've ever heard a coach give somebody. I don't remember when it was or where it was, but you said, you're like talking about that. Don't worry about people around you, but start making micro goals for yourself in the workout. And you're like, hey, just when you pick up the bar, make a new goal every single time. Make a new goal and reach that. And I still use that to this day. That was one of the biggest things I got. Very cool, you guys. So we had another guy just stepped in too as well, Evan. Evan was the alternate for CrossFit Monterey last year. So Evan, introduce yourself. How long have you been doing CrossFit, and what got you into it?
I must have been doing CrossFit for about 5 years now. I think the first 2 years of that were pretty much out of my buddy's garage gym.
Hell yeah, me too, brother.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what it was called at the time. He was finding workouts online and just making me do them because I started out as a really, really heavy-set guy. And those first 2 years saw me lose probably about 100 pounds.
Wow.
And then I lost a further 20 pounds when I came to CrossFit Monterey.
No way.
And how that came about was I had been doing these high-intensity workouts in his garage where he just having me do a lot of body weight, a lot of fast movements, and it's constantly switching between things. And then I kind of felt like I needed to continue to do that. So I moved over to CrossFit Monterey because I heard someone talking about how they had done a community class there. And I came into the gym one day, and I think Chris's friend Josh was in the gym, or brother, and he told me to come back at 11 o'clock for the community class, which was actually happening at 10 o'clock. So I came back in later when they were actually doing their workout, and that was the team workout, and they just said, all right, join us. And of course I made it about halfway through it and then almost passed out, and I just got kind of hooked on it from there and just tried to keep up with them ever since.
Crazy. So what would you say you were at your heaviest?
About 340 pounds.
Wow. And what are you at now?
About 220.
Man, this isn't a video thing. This is crazy. But if you guys could see Evan, like you would never in your life assume that he was 340. Is that what you said, 340? Yeah, never, ever. That's crazy. Wow, that's amazing. And now all the way up until even this last year being an alternate on a team that was going to regionals. What's up, bud? Ruka ate Bubby's sandwich? Ruka's licking her lips and walking over in shame right now. Good. Good. Hey, Liam, do me a favor. No bouncing the balls, okay? Until we're done. You guys can play catch, but no basketball. Dang, just crushed his life right there. Oh, man. Cool. And right back to basketball. Cool. That's amazing. So I want to get from your perspective, Evan, how was being an alternate? How was that role for you? Was it disappointing? Was it exciting? Was it hard to hold back? What was your role as an alternate too? Like, how did you go about it when they had team practices, things like that?
So I'd like to say it's a little disappointing, and it's also really kind of an emboldening thing, because you know that you're at the level where, you know, the other people on the team consider you a viable option to take over in case someone's hurt or can't do it. And I know Alec had a back problem really close out to the actual competition, and then
it got to the point where I was like, Evan and I were talking about it. You know, we were having conversations on.
Alex, like, get ready, Evan. This might be a thing. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. You know, and I was really worried about it, and you know, there was almost a point where we were about a week and a half out, and I almost considered telling the team that I wanted to not go because I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to do like a 50-50 shot, and I wanted Evan to be prepared mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So it got to that point where it was really close to, you know, Evan was going to be the guy who went. So.
But during that time too, I really did feel like I had to train just as hard as they were, even though, you know, he ended up coming back. I think a couple weeks out, and in which case I was back out of actually competing, which is I guess slightly the disappointing side, because you do kind of want to be there, but you know you want your team to do the best they possibly can do.
Yep.
But you really do feel that, like, kind of that jitter, like, oh my gosh, that might actually happen now. I might actually have to be.
It's probably almost worse than the guys that are actually going on the team, you know, because you're like, well, am I going to go? Am I not going to go? Should I train? Should I not train?
I have something to live up to now, too, because I have someone who's arguably a better athlete than me, and I have to try and replace them.
Yeah.
And it really, really kind of it kind of puts you in this really nervous kind of unsure zone, and then you don't know if, like, at any point during the training something bad could just happen. So anyone could just drop out at any time, and then you have to step in. So it really I think is just as nerve-wracking as it would be being on the team.
Definitely. I know, like, as a coach, this was our first year sending a team to regionals. I think Chris would probably agree with this, that it's one of the hardest things in the world is picking an alternate. You know what I mean? Because it is one of those things where you're telling them, like, hey, you're good, really freaking good, and you would be just as good on this team as anybody else, but we feel like somebody else may have another skill or may have this, it'll help them out, etc. And I know that that's, like, one of the hardest things for the coaches. And having an athlete that will take that role seriously is such a blessing for a coach. And I remember the first day that you guys came into the gym and helped us out with doing the mock regionals that we were doing and stuff, and everyone was there, man, setting up bars, helping me out, doing stuff like ready to go at any moment. You could see them like, okay, throw me in, coach, I'm ready the whole time. And when we came down to you guys, same thing. Evan worked out with us on our team because we were missing we needed an extra guy, and just threw down. You know what I mean? Like, put everything he had into it, and it was like very cool to see that you guys have created this community inside CrossFit Monterey where there is no hard feelings about anything, because everybody understands that it's like, you know, it's all, I want to say it's all love. You know what I mean? Like, it's all like, yeah, we're all in this for the gym. Like, we're all in this for the same purpose, you know, and it's not very individual based. And that's very cool to see that the CrossFit community is still there for sure.
I think you definitely learn a lot about yourself and what type of athlete you are. I think we've all been there as well, but we've been that guy or that girl. And it's all about how you respond. You know, when you look inside, and do you let it motivate you? You know, being that guy who maybe is just right outside that bubble, or, you know, how do you respond to it? And, you know, for example, like Evan took it as a very motivating factor. He used it, and, you know, he was just talking about it over and over again. Just, man, I'm so excited. You know, not that he was checked out, but, you know, he was so excited for the next season. Yeah. To you know, have that whole year to, you know, try to get himself to that next level.
Yep.
So it's really all dependent. I think you need to take a look at yourself as an individual, as a person, and as an athlete when you get put in a situation like that.
Yep. And it says a lot about the team too. If you have somebody who's, you know, happy about it and loving it and stuff, that says something about the rest of the people around you, are saying like, hey man, this is awesome, we're so stoked you're here with us and you're working out with us and doing this too. So man, Evan, going from 340 pounds to being an alternate on a CrossFit, you know, regional team, and this isn't 2010 regionals that we're talking about either. You know what I mean? This is being on a team at regionals now is a feat. it's a really big, like a couple years ago, you guys all would have been individuals at regionals, so that's amazing. I mean, very, 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 very cool. Okay, you guys, I just want to hit on a couple more things before we get you guys out of here. One of the biggest things is that, Chris, you just had surgery how long ago?
Like 5 weeks and a day. I don't know, was that like 31 days or something?
And 31 days ago, and you had a torn labrum, you said, right?
Yeah, I had 2 tears, so 2 slap lesions, one on the anterior part of my labrum, one on the posterior part of my labrum. And I had a large bone spur that was tearing at my rotator cuff. That was probably the only part that was like actually painful.
Uh-huh.
The labrum tear, you can kind of go without it without really realizing it. But yeah.
And you're 5 weeks post-surgery.
Yeah.
And yesterday...
yeah.
This dude did a workout, 21-15-9, deadlift, pull-up, and toes to bar. And I get a text from Chris yesterday, and he goes, oh, yeah, I did the workout on RX. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. You did pull-ups. And I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe he did strict pull-ups, and maybe he did, like, some dragonflies or something for the toes to bar. And he's like, no, butterfly pull-ups and toes to bar. And my mind was just blown. Like, I couldn't believe it. I had surgery myself just just over a week ago, so... What are some things for somebody who does go through an injury, Chris, that you would recommend for them to get them back into the game and keep them from mentally kind of breaking down?
I think number one is don't check out. Just because you're hurt, like, don't change your diet, don't change going to the gym, don't change your life. Like, still be there, do what you can do. Don't beat yourself down because you're in a position where you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you can do. Wait for the days to, move on, and things eventually will get better. And, listen to your doctor, listen to your PT. If your PT says try things that don't hurt, and if they don't hurt, do them, that's fine, right? I went into that workout yesterday I was going to do strict pull-ups, and whatever didn't hurt.
I think that's amazing you even thought about doing strict pull-ups, to be honest with you. I'm like blown away,
For
That's
some
awesome.
reason, that just feels better, but I just gave it a shot, and it didn't hurt. It's a weird thing. There's only a very small spot right now that hurts, so gave it a shot, and I figured, well, if it wasn't going to work, tomorrow morning I'd wake up and I'd be really hurting, and I would know not to do that again.
Yeah.
And I was okay this morning, so that's not saying go out there and just do shit that you think you can do. Don't do it. Literally, if stuff hurts or feels weird, don't do it, because you're going to be back in the hospital dealing with the same exact thing you dealt with, and now you're going to have twice the recovery time. So you can push your barriers a little bit when they tell you to, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change your life just because you got an injury.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things I see, the difference between people who bounce back really fast from injuries and people who don't, is that the people who continue to move, the people who continue to get themselves mentally in an area around people who are working out, who are, moving around still and stuff. And even if that's just getting on an Airdyne and pedaling around for a while, whatever it is, blood flow heals things, right? Oxygen heals stuff. So moving, getting yourself off the couch or whatever it is, even if it's just coming in, I tell people all the time, just go to the gym and sit there. Just go there and be in that environment and walk around and smile and laugh and, and hang out with the people that you want to be with. I think that helps out a ton instead of sitting in your house all day long and, getting depressed. So
it takes your mind off things. It takes your mind off the issue.
Yeah, definitely. Has anybody else on the team dealt with an injury or anything like that since they started CrossFit they've had to overcome?
Aches and pains.
Yeah, aches and pains.
Yeah.
Well, so we just kind of touched on earlier. I hurt my back right before regionals, doing a front squat, building up to a pretty heavy. I think it was about like 95%, and I was on the way up. I just felt this little pop in my back. I can't tell you exactly what the doctor was saying, but it was basically just a pretty bad strain. I guess that's the way I'd put it. But yeah, like it was just mentally, especially at that time. It was obviously the timing, but it was really rough because for me, like Chris mentioned, I wanted to do everything I could possibly do without any pain. And 2 days later, I tried to pull on a light barbell, and instantly the feeling came back again. I thought I was doing better, and that feeling came straight back. And that happened actually 2 or 3 more times. So kind of on the opposite end of it, I did something that instantly hurt again. And so sometimes you do need to realize when it's time to back off and just kind of ease in. I never stopped going to the gym, but I definitely, really kind of humbled myself by really accepting like what was going on and knowing, when it's time to take it a little easier than I should, or take it a little easier. And it's rough, mentally, that definitely tested my mental strength as well. That was a big one for me, my mental game.
Anybody else?
Yeah, same thing as Alec. I had 2 weeks before regionals, was doing a deadlift workout. I think we're doing the lumberjack 20. Strained a muscle in my lower back. Instantaneously, I thought I was done for the season. Wasn't going to go to regionals. Wasn't going to make it. And then kind of started moving a little bit. Things started feeling a little bit better. Started going through the mock regionals. I was doing the deadlift burpee workout and strained it again. So basically the whole week before regionals, I did nothing. It was kind of hard to do nothing and just sit there and like let yourself recover because, you know, you're going into this big competition. You think you should be, you know, training.
It's like everything's being lost. I'm
Yeah.
losing everything. I'm
losing all my
yeah.
gains. I'm losing all my cardio.
Yeah.
But I think it was good at the same time too because I was able to get my mental game a lot stronger than it had been. Just going into regionals, I felt like I was mentally stronger than I ever was, which was good. And then following up on post regionals, just taking some time off and just moving again and just getting back to being healthy.
Definitely. So with both of you guys, the biggest thing I'm hearing is that it's obviously you're going to go through that mental struggle of like, oh my God, you know, I'm losing everything I've worked for all year long, and it's right before this big thing's about to happen to me. How did you guys mentally get yourself checked back in?
For me, it was a lot of visualization. I spent a lot of time doing visualization in that month leading up to it when I was hurt.
Very cool.
You know, making sure that I was doing whatever I can to make sure I was locked in, even if I wasn't able to train. Physically be there, but, you know, mentally staying locked in, and then realizing why I do it, you know. So I'm a very competitive person, and that's why I love CrossFit. I love to compete, but at the same time, I absolutely love the, you know, hands down, number one reason why I do it is because I love being in the gym. If you're not enjoying what you're doing day in, day out, you know, you can't do it just for that one competition. You can't do it just for regionals. And so, you know, even if I wasn't able to make it to regionals, that was okay with me, man. That was really okay with me because I enjoy the whole lead up to it, you know, the whole time leading up to it, all those hours you spend training and of course working for that, you know, that one competition. That's what I really enjoy, and so I just, you know, constantly reminded myself of that as well. So that helped for me. Very cool. So visualization, very big thing. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, no, same thing. It's literally the exact same thing. You gotta love what you do, love why you train. I also, you know, when those negative thoughts would come in to my head, I'd stop myself with whatever I was doing, and I'd take a second and just reflect on why I was doing it, find some kind of positive self-talk. I think you even sent me a picture to put on my phone.
Yep. I did that for a lot of people on the team too, yeah.
I forget what it was. But then I found another one. Yeah, it says physically strong, mentally indestructible. So I think that helped a lot too.
Man, Bob Pfister right now is freaking out. He's like, you bastards never post when I do stuff. You're all doing it anyways, right? Yeah. Well, very cool, you guys. Thank you so much for coming up today. We really appreciate it. We're in an amazing situation. CrossFit Monterey is about 45 minutes away from us, so it is a bit of a distance. But we've made the commitment this year, I guess, as two gyms to come together as one and really help push each other and kind of make this family even a little bit bigger. And I'm really freaking excited about this next year of training with all of you guys, and to see what regionals is going to be like next year for sure. It's going to be cool. It's going to be like having just a whole big family down there for sure. So thank you guys so much for coming. Again, you guys, if you have any questions about this podcast or you guys want to hear anything specific on nutrition-wise or recovery-wise, or I can get Andy to come on and talk for 30 minutes. Yeah, let us know and put the comments below, you guys. Thanks for listening.